This is a live look at a growing vigil tonight in Minneapolis for Alex Pretti, the man shot and killed Saturday morning by Border Patrol.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're breaking down everything you need to know about the key players, tragic incidents, and broader implications that have thrown the North Star state into a turmoil.
Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Operation Metro Surge.
So operations continue.
At the Whipple building Friday, top U.S. immigration officers stood next to photos of people they call the worst of the worst with alleged criminal pasts who have been arrested.
It's for people that are just watching this and just see faces on these slides and no names and just the country they're from and an offense. How do you build trust in the community with some that might be skeptical when they don't know who these people are?
Operation Metro Surge began in December 2025, bringing a large and highly visible federal deployment into the Twin Cities. The Department of Homeland Security has promoted the operation as a major enforcement success, citing thousands of arrests connected to immigration activity. On paper, that framing suggests a clear show of federal strength. On the ground, though, the reaction has been far more complicated.
They're actually snatching people from the streets.
Daniel Hernandez owns Colonial Market and Restaurant, which he says hasn't looked this empty since the pandemic. He says customers and employees alike are afraid to leave their homes.
Many people say, oh, they're fearful because they don't have papers. No, that is not correct. They're fearful because they're Latinos being targeted by ICE.
Residents and local reporting have described unmarked vehicles, tactical gear, and enforcement that feels closer to crowd control operations than routine policing. A federal judge has already moved to restrict certain agent conduct toward protesters and observers, underscoring how legally and politically fraught the surge has become.
Just for context, a federal immigration judge in Minnesota on Friday ruled that federal immigration agents at ICE, Border Patrol, and other federal agencies cannot arrest, detain, stop, or retaliate against peaceful protesters who are not interfering with or obstructing federal immigration operations.
The broader context of President Trump's immigration policy.
We, of course, know that this president and other White House officials have blasted local officials, have blasted Democrats in particular, and called on them to cooperate with the federal government. In fact, the president did that over the weekend, also calling for Congress to pass legislation to ban so-called sanctuary cities. So this isn't in there quite yet, but certainly a shift and change with the president sending his border czar, Tom Homan.
What's happening in Minnesota isn't simply a local flare-up. It's become a national flashpoint in the Trump administration's renewed push to aggressively reassert federal authority over immigration enforcement.
Just a couple of weeks ago, after the death of Renee, who was shot and killed by an ICE officer in Minneapolis, we had an entire briefing that was led by Vice President Vance. You had top officials labeling her a domestic terrorist without providing any evidence for that claim, and really defending the ICE officer in that specific instance.
Operation Metro Surge is being described in Washington as a public safety initiative, but it's unfolding in a political climate where jurisdictions are under growing pressure to align with federal priorities. For residents, that broader context matters. Even when officials say they're focused on serious offenders, what people see on the ground is a visible, aggressive federal presence reshaping daily life. Minnesota has become a test case for how far federal enforcement can extend into local spaces, turning a policy fight into a deeply personal crisis for thousands of families.
They are sowing chaos and violence. We've seen deadly violence from federal agents again and again and again. But in contrast to that, on these frozen streets, what you witnessed yesterday was the best of Minnesotans, peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights. And I attended in the church basement hundreds of Minnesotans from all faiths packing care packages for families that have been ripped apart.
Federal agents outnumber local police.
Actually, you might have some trouble hearing me. These police have just fired tear gas at the crowd. They moved them back, but the organizers are waving them forward again. You see these metal canisters on the ground here. They've been throwing them back at the state police and at local police.
One of the most striking aspects of Operation Metro Surge has been the sheer imbalance between federal and local law enforcement on the ground. At the height of the operation, around 3,000 federal agents were deployed across the Twin Cities, a force that reporting shows outnumbered Minneapolis police officers by roughly 5 to 1. Local leaders and national media have described the environment as resembling a siege, with masked and heavily equipped federal agents becoming a routine presence in neighborhoods and downtown areas. For many residents, the overwhelming federal footprint created an atmosphere that felt less like targeted enforcement and more like violent occupation.
Steve, what are they chanting?
Shame, get out pigs, and get out ICE.
Okay. Yeah, we can see that they're moving back in. None of this is working. I mean, so far, we haven't seen these people, leave.
Controversial justifications.
In remarks Vance made while visiting the city Thursday, the vice president accused the media of misrepresenting the event.
How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran.
Federal officials argue that the surge is necessary to restore order and protect public safety. That framing has been central to DHS messaging and public statements from Washington. But on the local level, that justification has been met with deep skepticism.
How many more lives need to be lost before this administration realizes that a political and partisan narrative is not as important as American values? How many times must local and national leaders must plead with you, Donald Trump, to end this operation and recognize that this is not creating safety in our city?
State and city leaders, along with civil rights advocates, say the public safety rationale is being used to normalize a much broader enforcement footprint. That disagreement has now moved into the courts, with judges reviewing whether certain aspects of the operation cross constitutional boundaries. The result is a widening credibility gap.
Rachel James, a local city council member who said she witnessed the incident, says Liam watched masked agents take his father from the driveway of their home before he too was taken.
I can't imagine what was going through Liam's mind, but I can tell you what I saw on his face. He was frozen and paralyzed. He was not crying, but he looked so scared.
Targeting of Minnesota's Somali population.
President Trump in recent days has taken aim at Minnesota's Somali community with xenophobic remarks and calls for removal from the U.S. It coincides with the new ICE operation in the Twin Cities that's resulted in at least 5 arrests of Somali immigrants.
Community groups and residents say enforcement activity has been especially visible in neighborhoods with large immigration populations, including parts of South Minneapolis and Cedar Riverside. For many families, the experience feels like collective suspicion rather than individualized enforcement. That sense of being singled out has fueled fear, anger, and disengagement.
I've been here since 1994. I was only 3 years old when I came, and this is my home, and this has got to stop.
You came here to harass us?
A few people here say they even noticed what they believe to be federal agents circling around the property today, but authorities haven't confirmed that.
Even without official acknowledgement of targeting, the lived experience has created a powerful narrative of discrimination. That perception has become a central catalyst for protests and a key reason why trust between residents and federal authorities has deteriorated so quickly during the crisis.
Even Somali Americans who voted for Trump, like business owner Waris Mahmoud, expressed anger.
We want to make America great, but not insulting the people he is the president. I want he change, his tongue because he doesn't know us. Come over here. Donald Trump, you are our president. Come over here, have a tea, and you will learn who we are.
Impact on public safety and local resources.
People have had enough. This is the 3rd shooting now in less than 3 weeks. The Minneapolis Police Department went the entire year last year recovering about 900 guns from the street, arresting hundreds and hundreds of violent offenders, and we didn't shoot anyone. And now this is the 2nd American citizen that's been killed. It's the 3rd shooting within 3 weeks.
Ironically, the surge has complicated everyday public safety instead of simplifying it. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara has had to manage overlapping jurisdictions and strained coordination between local and federal agents. When command structures blur, routine policing becomes harder, not easier. Community organizations also report a chilling effect. Some city residents now hesitate to call police or emergency services at all. worried that any interaction could trigger federal involvement. That fear undermines one of the basic foundations of public safety: trust.
Well, I think the greater concern is no matter what happens with an investigation is that there's a huge part of the public that have lost faith that the investigation would be impartial, and I think that's a very significant problem.
When people are afraid to seek help, real emergencies can go unreported, and communities become less safe overall. The surge has created an environment where enforcement priorities and public safety needs are no longer clearly aligned.
This is not sustainable. This police department has only 600 police officers. We are stretched incredibly thin. This is taking an enormous toll trying to manage all of this chaos on top of having to be the police department for a major city. It's too much.
Killing of Renee Good.
Officials said that an ICE officer was fearing for his life and then fired defensive shots to save himself and his officers, which ultimately killed Renee Good. And so we do know that Renee Good, as known as a 37-year-old woman who was there in the area, who was out and about as these ICE operations were going.
The killing of Renee Good on January 7, 2026 became one of the most emotionally charged moments of the crisis. Good was killed during an encounter tied to immigration enforcement activity on Portland Avenue South in Minneapolis. Video footage quickly spread, turning the case into a national flashpoint. Federal accounts of the encounter have been sharply disputed by witnesses and by independent analysis of the footage.
Our officer followed his training, did exactly what he's been taught to do in that situation, and took actions to defend himself.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey had some choice words for the Trump administration's self-defense argument.
Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull.
The gap between official narrative and public perception transformed the case into a symbol. For many protesters, Renee Good's death represents what they see as reckless federal tactics and a lack of accountability. Her killing personalized the crisis in a way policy debates never could.
And so in the aftermath of this shooting, we've been watching as some protests have been breaking out, not only in the Minneapolis and St. Paul areas, but also across the country, with folks speaking out about some of these ICE operations that are happening in their local cities.
Minnesota General Strike of 2026. Public anger reached a new level on January 23, 2026, with the Day of Truth and Freedom.
It is a day when every single Minnesotan will stand in solidarity and choose love and care for one another over hate and violence. And we will do so by refusing to work, to shop, and to go to school.
Framed as a general strike or economic blackout, the action urged people across Minnesota to skip work and school and avoid spending as a form of protest against the federal surge. While it didn't literally shut down the entire state, tens of thousands participated, making it one of the largest coordinated protest actions Minnesota has seen in recent years.
The safety of my students and their families, their inability to work and make money, getting groceries, paying their rent, and frankly the violent tactics that are harming our community.
The symbolism was powerful. This wasn't just activists in the streets. It was workers, students, and families taking part in a shared act of resistance. The scale of the response showed how far frustration had spread beyond traditional protest circles and into the mainstream of public life.
To the rest of the country, we urge you to join us in this moment. We can build a different world and a different country. No one built on hate, but rather on love and care for one another. But that can't just be a dream. We will have to make a choice. Can we include everybody? Can we build it? And are we going to be serious about it?
Killing of Alex Pretti.
After the shooting, Javier said agents then came after him.
They're like, get the f over here, get the f over here. Like, and I was like, get the f off me, I'm not even doing anything. You know, there's not even no crime, you know, I'm a bystander.
Another major flashpoint came with the killing of Alex Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse in Minneapolis on January 24, 2026. Federal authorities said he posed a threat during a confrontation connected to the surge. Witnesses and widely circulated video footage have cast serious doubt on that account.
They slammed the sickening lie told about their son by the administration, saying he was attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs, that he was trying to protect a woman, and asked Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man.
The contradiction between official statements and what many viewers believe the footage depicts has become one of the most powerful drivers of public outrage. Pretti's death reinforced fears that the surge isn't merely aggressive, but dangerously so. For many Minnesotans, it confirmed the belief that federal tactics carry an unacceptable risk of deadly outcomes.
How do you find a personal sense of security?
By not being scared of them, bro. I'm not gonna be intimidated by them. My father always told me, never be scared of a person that bleeds as much as you do.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Kristi Noem's role.
But before I take any questions and give more details on the storm and its impact, I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country.
At the center of the federal response is Homeland Security Secretary and former South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. As DHS Secretary, she's been the public face defending Operation Metro Surge and promoting its results. DHS messaging has consistently built the operation up as necessary, lawful, and effective. To supporters, Noem represents firm leadership and a willingness to enforce federal law without hesitation. To critics, she's become a clear avatar for escalation and federal overreach.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots.
Either way, her influence is undeniable. For many Minnesotans, the conflict is no longer about immigration policy. It's about how federal power is being exercised, and whether it's being done with restraint, accountability, and respect for local authority.
This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
What do you think of the events unfolding in Minnesota? Is there anything we missed? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.